All right. So the next topic we have is Claude 3 came out, and it was really fun. Twitter went crazy, right? And everybody's like, "Oh, this has developed AGI. Now Claude is sentient, whatever, right?" Every time a new technology gets released, everybody's like, "Oh, this is now human." It makes me laugh. The best thing, again, just for the record, these things are doing is trying to mimic humans from the past, right? So it's learning patterns, it's learning everything that you give it, to try to mimic humans. I did a few tests. I think the thing I was focused on is the new capabilities they brought into picture, right? Which is basically the ability to look at the images, right? So I just gave it digitized, like not handwritten. So see what do you see, right? So it's correctly recognized basic stuff, level up. This is slightly in an incline, cursive, right? Try to see whether it figured out, and it actually did figure out. And I gave the 1 million mind logo, which is a transparent PNG, just another twist. Transparency, I think it also figured pieces of that. Then I gave a tough one, right? Then I took a image which is partially AI generated and partially human photoshopped, right? And then say, what do you see? And then how can this be, right? Just to see, okay, everybody's claiming this is great, the greatest thing that has ever happened. It knows what's happening, right? So when it comes to images, right, it kind of highlighted a couple of things, right? So it did recognize what's in the image, but some of the reasoning is completely off, right? So first thing it came up with is somebody did it manually with the photo editing software, right? And so I just wanted to dig in a little bit. Why do you say it's photo? Why not someone use the generative AI, right? And then it started learning. So why I bring this up is that I think one of the key aspects of what we as humans have developed over time is that we are in an environment, we have context, we have other things like this. I say this example, right? If you are in a New York City and you hear a lion sound, humans don't think there is a lion in the building, right? It's because it's a setting, it's a city. We kind of eliminate that out of our reasoning, right? But in this case, it's still a little wishy-washy. The machines still don't know these kind of things, right? So again, anyway, coming back to this is like it kind of eliminated itself as a generative AI cannot do this and figured that this is a human doing this. So I just went uh, analyzing it again, made it do it again and again. But I think to keep the long story short, I don't think it ever converged on the fact that this could be done partially with this and partially with that, right? And it does not believe that, because it kept insisting it's a photo. And it's like, how can I? There's no such thing. There's no such creature, right? It's a fantasy. But to run the same comparison, ChatGPT was a little bit better in a sense that it kind of figured certain things are anthropomorphic images, and these are fantasy and certain things. So it's slightly performing better in the image recognition. The second thing I gave it, let's see if I can go back. This is a fun one. So I just gave it one of our AI generated images, which has some clues in terms of whether it's a human. So anyway, so I gave this and say, what do you see, right? Essentially, the Claude 3 says it's a bear, like or bear like animal. Even though there are a lot of clues here with a backpack and upright standing, it's like a human. The thing has shoes. So I was posing like based on the world, what are the possibilities of this thing happening with a bear talking to a robot, right? I just starting asking questions, right? And it goes on and on about a thing. But at the end of the day, I was asking, why didn't you consider it's a child in a bear costume, right? There are enough clues. So anyway, ChatGPT, on the other hand, kind of came up with it in single shot, right? It's standing upright like a human. So it has clues here, right? It kind of figured this is some kind of a unrealistic thing, right? So I think again, comparing and contrasting, it feels like based on certain tests I did, ChatGPT is probably better looking for image recognition. The second task I gave is a It's a complicated one. Who likes doctor's prescriptions, right? It's all scribble scrabble. But I figured I figured one from the internet, which is partially legible, so I can at least tell what is in there, right? So in this case, there's three medicines here. The first one, it's PARICEL, and it got PACIEL, right? So I kind of got that wrong, but the other two got it right. But the Claude. Let's go back to Claude. Claude has no clue on what is in that picture, um, which surprised me. I thought it'll figure this is if I can read it, Claude should be able to read it. So it came up with Provigil, which I don't know where it came up with that. And that's the only medicine it saw in that prescription. It has no clue about the other two. So probably it's still version 1 for Claude, right? Again, I'm not trying to beat this technology down, but I think it's probably ChatGPT is a little ahead, or OpenAI is ahead on image recognition. But Claude might be doing fun stuff with text and other type of things. The last task per your request, I was trying to see if we can do a single shot website or web page or landing page or anything like that, right? Let me bring that. So I took their example, right? I said, hey, here's an image. I gave a login page of my company website and say, hey, can you create a UI design? I use the same prompt, right? Whatever they have given in their website. And it came up with this layout. Now, so I just took the HTML and I rendered it. Mostly okay, but it still got the big logo piece here wrong. The logo was on the left. It's not following. So again, the same problem exists in this thought process as well, right? It's not a copy or exact design layout copy, which is kind of definitely good in the sense that it's not making it an easy way for others to copy your design, right? This is the fear, right? With all this technology, can someone go take a screenshot of my website and feed it to AI and come up with a website in no time? It doesn't look like it's possible yet. It doesn't look like an elaborate scheme of. I even ask questions like, "Can you create all the elements independently and zip it up the file and give it to me?" So none of this is happening. It's just giving you a single piece of code. That's why I think going back to your chart, Rajni, it makes sense because I'm sure everybody's playing like this and it's like, okay, I can't get anything done. Now I have to give it to the developer or pay somebody to stitch it together, right? It has to be assembled. I can give the individual pieces to someone, sort of, to assemble it, but still I have no way of assembling the whole thing together. So that's my.
It's good for MVP, right? Like you can create an MVP or
correct.
You don't have to ever start from scratch. I think our general hypothesis has been this for the entire time, right? One, all models are going to converge at some kind of parity. The only thing that's going to differentiate is the data they have access to. So what we're seeing, even though 4.0 GPT 4.0 came a while ago, the new models, whether it's Gemini Pro or now Claude 3, they're still catching up. Not significantly where they're like, oh my God, they're like 10 years behind. They're close. I'm going to say 6 months behind, right? But it was a couple of years earlier. So I think as the new versions come up and more open source, I think they're all going to have functional parity pretty soon. So now like what Google's doing, getting access to Reddit content or Quora, whatever the standalone data is what's going to separate some of these models going forward. So I think before I go there, I think what we also showed was some edge cases of Claude, right? Because I'm pretty sure you also mentioned this is some of the text, some of the coding, I think is on par or even better in some of these things with ChatGPT. So to me, I'm not as concerned about which one's better. I'm just going to make an assumption as an entrepreneur or somebody in the space that, hey, they're all going to reach the parity at some point near future or 2 years from now. So if you're building an app, make it where you can potentially use an open source and get the same level of the cost is cheaper. So speed and cost will become more of my parameters to the levers I would pull, rather than I'm going to put all my eggs into one competitor or one, okay, I'm only going to build where it works with OpenAI, right? I just don't see a world where that's going to be a very successful practice. And if you are somebody who's learning this, I will also learn the entire ecosystem rather than focus. But if you're building for the marketplace, it makes sense. Like open AI as a marketplace for chat. So if you're gonna focus on that, you're selling there. That's like an app market, right? So that makes sense. But I think I still think our hypothesis, everything is going to become parity. Just basically, your data is really, your workflow is really the thing that's going to separate you from others. So if the more you can either acquire this data or you have access to this data because you've been running this business for 10, 15 years, that is what I think people are going to value and pay for in the future.
That's what everybody wants right now, right? Everybody wants access to your data, right? Every person who wants to make money is going to soon knock on your door. So give me your data. So what price do you want, right? Because data is highly personal, right? It's a subjective and it's personal and it's your own IP and other things in there. That's what everybody wants access to sell products to you. So.
And I think that's not just you selling it, right? For example, if you have a company, I know we talked about agents, and you have a thousand tickets or chat conversations that happen to existing customer, new customer. You don't know how to leverage this. Yes, as humans, we can review it and see some trends, but you can feed your agent all of this information. Then you can have conversation as an internal employee talking about, hey, tell me what we could have done better, or which is how can we analyze the sentiment of a customer dealing with this before they get irate and leave a bad review for us somewhere. Or on the other side, if the customer is reaching out and 70% of your questions are like, hey, how do I reset my password, or simple FAQ questions,
Right.
can you lower the wait? For example, the most frustrating thing is you call into customer service or chat and you're 15th in line, you have to wait for 45 minutes before you can even talk to people. This happens right now. I've been on call because I couldn't help it. I had to talk to somebody to cancel something, 45 minutes. So will I settle for a subpar experience, but I get a immediate connection with the bot? Absolutely, right? So those are things that it's a give and take for us. So I
No,
think that's
no.
where we are.
I'll ask you this fun question. When everybody started outsourcing the customer support in the United States, the first reaction is, I get the person doesn't even understand my language. The person doesn't even know what I'm talking about. They don't have a concept of my culture, of my whatever personality, right? And that's a real thing, because as humans, we want to connect to something, right? So now the question I have is, when this is all going to happen, everything you're talking to is a bot, even though it's acting like a human. Do humans at some point feel like, I need to talk to a human, right? I don't care what it is, it's still a machine, right? So this is very interesting, right? It's a psychological problem which might show up. Like everything is talking like human and you have no way of differentiating, but internally every company has optimized everything, so there is 50% or more digitized avatars talking to you, right? Does that make your
So,
experience better or worse? I don't know.
so this is it, right? As long as you give it an option for, and I think a lot of the reviews that I do is they either badmouth the chatbot or say contact human, like regardless what the conversation happening 4 times, and they have a routed to a human. So as long as there's a human in loop, but you feel like if you're stuck,
Correct.
because I have
Correct.
talked to humans and been stuck in loops where they hand me from one department to another, I repeat the same thing department. So to me, yes, I would like to talk to a human, but if there's a chance I can cut down my conversation time from 30 minutes, 20 minutes to 5 minutes, I get 80% or solves my problem 80% of the time, I will settle for that at this point because it
and
feels
and
like we all have less time.
and as a human in the loop approach, if I'm a customer support rep, I think I would definitely let the bot take all the heat, cool the customer down before passing it to me, because I don't want all that energy, right? I just That's the majority of
Bring
the
it down
problem.
before you hand them up.
Exactly. Calm the person down, hand them back to me.
That makes sense. I think that might be a good strategy for people if they, again, if they don't want to lose customers, that might be the best strategy.
Because
But
I, I
I
I
feel
know
like
customer support folks suffered the most during COVID, because they are in their homes or wherever they are, but now they are taking all the heat and they have nowhere else to go, right? It's very frustrating for them, right? If it's an office
I think the
environment, at
right
least you
way
have
to do
people
it,
to talk to, right? In COVID time, it's like
I
it's
think
crazy.
I think the biggest thing is an AI agent who's a doctor for customer service reps, so they don't lose their mind. So
I,
every
it,
every call
it,
they
That's a very good use case. I would support that because I think we are all humans. You don't want to be taking heat from customers all day and go back somewhere else to compensate for it, right? It's tough.
Agree. Awesome. I know we've covered a lot of topics. That was interesting. And I know we will be bringing some more interesting topics, especially around the AI agents. So if anybody's interested in trying some of these models for free, right? We just want more people to try it so they can give us some feedback. Reach out to us on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We would love to talk to you. On that note, have a wonderful 2 weeks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.